Shalom, and welcome to a new part in the series of lessons, the Jewish people coming home. We are today studying chapter 3 in the book of Joshua. Chapter 3 and chapter 4 deal with the people of Israel crossing the Jordan River and entering the promised land. We spoke about in our second lesson, in chapter 2, the concept that God is teaching the people of Israel. You are now entering a land where life will be different. Different from the life you were used to till now. You will not be living in a standard of living that is miraculous on every moment. You will not be receiving supernatural presents from heaven, but rather you will be receiving natural presents from the earth. And with this in the back of our head, we are beginning chapter 3. I will read the first few verses and then elaborate on them. Chapter 3, Perek Gimel, Pasuk Aleph, verse 1. Vayashkem Yehoshua babokir vayis'u mehashitim vayavo ad Yarden hu v'chol bnei Yisrael vayalinu sham terem yavoru. The people of Israel crossed the Jordan River, and they stayed there until they were ready to cross. At the end of 3 days, and the officers go through the camp. We're talking about 3 days, which continue the 3 days which were in chapter 1, in verse 9-10, where the officers told the people, and tell the people, we are now crossing the river. Tell the people we are now, in 3 days we will be crossing the river, and here we are now crossing the river. So the 3 days are over. And what did the officers tell them? Verse 3, Pasuk Gimel, Vayitzavu et ha'am limor, kir'otchem et aron brit Adonai Elohichem, ve'hakohanim haleviim nos'im oto, ve'atem tis'u mimkomchem v'halachtem acharav. When you see the Ark of Covenant being carried by the priests, the Levites, you will raise and continue and follow the ark. But, verse 4, Pasuk Daled, Ach rachok yeh beinechem uveinav ke'alpayim amah b'midah. Al tikravu elav. There should be a space, Yeshua says to the people, there should be a space of 2,000 cubits between you and the ark. Why? למען אשר תדעו את הדרך אשר תלכו בה, כי לא עברתם בה בדרך מתמול שלשום. So that you should know the way in which you will be going, because you have not come this way beforehand. Now, if we try to understand this sentence, Joshua tells the people, make sure there's a space of 2,000 cubits between you and the ark, because we're going in a new road. A new route. You've never been through this way. Now, the question is, what is the connection? What is the connection between the fact that they're not to get close to the ark, and they're to keep the 2,000 cubits between them and the ark, to the fact that they don't know the way? And if they would be closer to the ark, so they would be following, and everybody would be following, and the first row will see the ark, and they'll continue. And what would be wrong with that? Why does Joshua ask the people, keep that space of 2,000 cubits between you and the ark, because you have not gone through this road before? It seems very simple to answer this question. True, if they would all be very close to the ark, they would be able to follow the ark, but only the first ones would see the ark. The ones behind them would be following the first row, and etc., etc. The second row would be following the first row, the third following the second, the fourth following the third. But God wants the people to see something very clearly. Every single one of those people who were crossing the river today must see that crossing the river and entering the land was following the Ark of Covenant. And this is the point that Joshua wants them to see here. We said before that the people of Israel are going to be coming to live in a land where you don't see miracles on a daily basis. You don't see supernatural miracles. You will be living and you will go into a life which will be routine. And one of the major challenges of a religious person, of a faithful person in God, is the fact that he has faith even though he supposedly doesn't see God in every single step. Because things are working naturally. The main challenge of this faithful person is to know and remember that yes, what is happening to me, even though it seems like natural, this is from God. How does this happen? If every single one of the people crossing the river and entering land sees that they are going into the land behind the Ark of Covenant. And that is because God wants the people, and Joshua wants the people to remember, because you're not going to have the Ark walking with you all the time. When the Ark will finally reach its place, it will be sitting in the temple in Jerusalem. You don't see it on a regular basis. At this point, I don't want you to cross the river and enter the land seeing the back of the head, the shoulders of the person in front of you, but rather seeing the Ark of Covenant. Let's continue. Joshua says to the people, get ready, prepare. Tomorrow you will be seeing wonders among you. And Joshua says to the priests, carry the ark. The priests are carrying the ark. Usually, we know that usually the Levites are the ones that carry the ark. As we saw in the book of Numbers, the Levites would be carrying the ark. Here, or actually 3 times in the Bible, we see that the Kohanim are carrying the ark. The first time is over here, the second time is in Jericho, and the third time is when the ark was brought in when Solomon built the temple. When the Kohanim, the priests, are carrying the ark, it's a different story. It's not just the people are on the journey and the people who are in charge of carrying it are carrying the ark. It's a message. God is within us. The priests who are representing God in the world and representing the people in front of God are carrying the ark. God's presence is with us. We will talk about it when we get to the story of Jericho. And when the ark is brought in to its permanent place in the Temple of Solomon, the priests also. Other than that, always it's the Levites. The Levites are the carriers. The Levites are those who work as service people. They are not those who are actually part of the actual presence of God in the world. They are the people who are in charge. They are the servers. They are the carriers of all the vessels. But when they're entering the land, this is a step towards the ark arriving at its permanent place. We are continuing in verse 7. And God says to Joshua, Today I will begin to exalt you in the eyes of all of the people of Israel. Asher yedun, they will know, ki kasher hayiti im Moshe, ehyeh imach. As I was with Moses, I will be with you. We see once again, as we saw in chapter 1, God is permanently reminding the people. There are 2 parallel lines here. Joshua is teaching a new standard of living, a living without miracles on a daily basis, which was in the time of Moses. So I would think that maybe we are now in a different story, now it's not Moses, it's Joshua, comes God and says, today the people of Israel will see that you are continuing the footsteps of Moses, even though it's a totally different standard of leadership, even though it's a totally different way of guidance of God's presence in the world. This is still a continuation in the footsteps of Moses. Joshua, who was Moses' personal advisor, personal helper, personal servant, he, yes, even though he is establishing a whole new concept of worship of God, this is a continuation. And don't say to me, where is Moses? Where are the good days of Moses? God says to Joshua, today I will begin to exalt you, so the people will know that as I was with Moses, I am with you. And now we're in verse 8. ואתה תצווה את הכהנים נושאי ארון ברית לאמור כבואכם את קצה מי הירדן בירדן תעמודו. He tells the priests, go ahead, and as you reach the entrance to the river, stand there. What will happen? The people don't know yet. Nobody knows yet. But we are now preparing and understanding and strengthening the leadership of Joshua. Joshua says to the people, get up and start walking towards the river. And the priests will be first. As they reach the river, something will happen. And Joshua, I'm reading in verse 9, says to the people of Israel, Joshua says to the people, come and hear the words of Hashem, and through this you will know that a living God is in your midst. And this is a very strong phrase. El Chai Bekir Bechem. And this is the message of Joshua. A living God. Not a God that was sending miracles all the time from heaven, but a living God. A God that is in part of life. And Joshua says to the people, today, upon my leadership, when you will see that we will capture the land that I'm promising, when you will see that the promises of God to capture the land of Canaan, and you will overcome all the nations, et HaKanaani, et HaChiti, et HaChivi, et HaPrizi, et HaGirgashi, you will see all of this, all the nations being defeated, you will know that El Chai Bekir Bechem. What you are doing, though you may seem like you're a great army defeating all these weak armies, no. You should remember that all of these successes, all of your victories in the war will be a proof, not of your strength, but that El Chai Bekir Bechem. A living God is amongst you. And this is the story of Israel. Joshua teaches us that El Chai Bekir Bechem, God, a living God, is in you when you're entering the land. When you see the ark in front of you. When you see that the priests are carrying the ark. When you follow and see what's happening, you shall remember forever that when you enter the land, El Chai Bekir Bechem, a living God is amongst you. Until this very day, when the people of Israel have had such miraculous victories in the war, they are to remember this special message of Joshua. El Chai Bekir Bechem. The people of Israel are the people who symbolize a living God in the world, in the land, from the land to the world. Shalom.